Have you ever wondered what would be the worst, most cruel, and utterly inhuman way to die in all of human history? As absurd, as disturbing as this may sound, human beings, over the centuries, have devised methods of torture so brutal, so twisted, they defy the limits of imagination. During the Dark Middle Ages, suffering wasn't just a consequence of violence, that it was a tool, an instrument of control, of fear, and, believe it often, of pure entertainment. This era was marked by something so dark, so obscene, that to this day, it's called the Dark Ages. Not just for the ignorance, not just for the famine, but, above all, for humanity's capacity to turn pain into spectacle. And amid so many horrors, three methods stand out as true nightmares, carved into history itself. Today, you'll uncover the darkest stories behind three of the most brutal execution methods ever devised: the dreaded Brazen Bull, the insane Blood Eagle, and the merciless Headcrusher. If you think you've seen heavy stuff before, brace yourself. What you're about to hear will haunt you. Part 1. The Brazen Bull, a chamber of agony and flames. Picture this: around 550 BC, on the island of Sicily, a tyrant ruled with an iron fist. His name, Phalaris. But Phalaris wasn't just a leader, he was the embodiment of terror. His reputation crossed borders. He was synonymous with cruelty, with bloodlust, with complete lack of empathy. Yet, Phalaris wanted more than just killing. He wanted to turn pain into a lesson etched into the body and soul of anyone who dared defy him. And so was born one of the most perverse, sadistic, monstrous torture devices humanity ever conceived: the Brazen Bull. Imagine a giant statue, meticulously crafted in the shape of a bull, hollow inside, made entirely of bronze, a metal chosen not for beauty, but for its ability to conduct extreme heat rapidly. At the top, then opening through it, the victim was placed, locked in a sealed, condemned. And at the front, in the bull's mouth, another opening. But no, not out of mercy. It was part of the spectacle. Beneath the statue's belly, the fire was lit. The flames grew, fed by the metal, until the sculpture turned into a living furnace. Inside, the victim felt the heat searing their skin, burning their flesh, and slowly consuming their bones. With every second, the bronze burned, boiled, and turned the human body into living, agonizing meat. And the most cruel part, the bull's mouth had an ingenious system of tubes and acoustic chambers that distorted the screams of pain, turning them into something resembling the bellowing of a dying bull. To those watching, it sounded as if the statue itself were alive, roaring, groaning, while slowly cooking a life inside. And as if that weren't enough, the victim was forced to breathe the thick air, filled with the smell of their own flesh burning, suffocating, slowly, while their body was devoured from the inside out. And here, the cruelest irony: the first to experience this monstrosity was its creator. Paralaus of Athens, the craftsman who built it for Phalaris, was tricked. Phalaris locked him inside his own bull, lit the flames, and Paralaus survived just long enough. He was pulled out, near death, only to be thrown off a cliff. The Brazen Bull wasn't just a machine of death. It was a message, a brutal reminder that pain could be turned into spectacle. And even if historians debate whether this was real, the mere possibility that something like this was ever conceived is enough to chill any soul. Part 2. The Blood Eagle, the wings of agony. If you thought the Brazen Bull was the peak of human insanity, what comes next defies all rational understanding. The Blood Eagle, a ritual attributed to the feared Norse warriors. And to this day, some still refuse to believe this was real. Because if it was, we're talking about one of the greatest atrocities humanity ever recorded. The horror began with a cut, a brutal, deep cut, exposing the victim's entire spine. And then the true nightmare started. The ribs were brutally pried from the spine, one by one, forced open, bent, until they took on the grotesque shape of spread wings. But it didn't end there. The next step might be the cruelest. The lungs were ripped out and carefully draped over the splayed ribs. So that, with every desperate breath, the lungs inflated and deflated, giving the macabre and bizarre illusion of an eagle flapping its wings. And yes, all of this with the victim alive. According to Norse beliefs, there was one cruel demand to cruel. The victim couldn't scream, couldn't show pain, because if they did, they'd never be worthy of entering Valhalla. But the truth is, no voice, no scream could survive such torture. To this day, historians are divided. Some say this ritual was exaggerated, distorted over centuries. Others believe that, yes, as rare as it was, this happened, that, at some point in history, there were those who tore ribs, ripped lungs, and turned pain into a spectacle of blood. Part 3. The Headcrusher. The weight of agony. The Brazen Bull slow-cooked its victims, and the Blood Eagle dismantled the body, piece by piece. What you're about to hear is, without a doubt, the most direct, most brutal, most absolutely devastating example of how pain can be simple and unbearable. The Headcrusher. The name alone sends chills. It was a device widely used, especially during the dreaded Spanish Inquisition. At first glance, it seemed simple, a metal structure with a base where the victim's jaw rested and an upper plate slowly pressed down by a screw. The process, brutal. The torturer simply turned the screw, and then the jaw began to crack, teeth shattered, the skull splintered, and as pressure mounted, the eyes were forced out of their sockets. Every turn, a snap. Every snap, a scream. Every scream, a soul breaking along with the bones. And the cruelest part, most of the time, this wasn't meant to kill. It was meant to torture, to extract confessions. To make someone say anything, even what never existed. The Headcrusher left no marks on the body, but it destroyed, without mercy, everything that existed inside. The mind, chilling, right? The scariest part is knowing all of this really happened. Now tell me in the comments, which of these methods do you think was the cruelest of all?